Hi, Strathcona County. I'm your Mayor, Rod Frank, and it is time for a virtual coffee. And I'm delighted to introduce Ted Paszek. Ted, could you just give us a little bit about what your role is in the community?
Well, my pleasure. Good morning to you, Mayor Rod, and good morning to everyone. Well, I'm the board chair of the Elk Island Catholic School District, a longtime chair and involved in Catholic education for the longest time. So I've been part of the Strathcona community for 40 years almost now, and so I'm a member of the OLPH parish and an active member in the community. But the most important role that I have at the moment is, of course, board chair of the Elk Island Catholic Schools.
Yeah, and I really want to thank you for making time to have this virtual coffee today because the education sector is one of the most impacted of all the sectors within our community. It affects thousands of families and more particularly thousands of students. And it all happened so quickly. Ted, we're not even 1 month out from when we really had to intensely start to respond to the pandemic. We began last in January, but it was on March 11th when things really started to take off. We're not even 1 month out. So I can't imagine what it was like for you because I think it was by that weekend the school districts were advised your students aren't coming to school on Monday. So just take us through what this has meant to you as board chair and to your students and your staff.
Well, I have to admit that feelings of shock, but these days, of course, we're getting kind of used to, the changing landscape, and so there's kind of a new shock every day. But that first event when it was announced that schools were closed, that was a shock. So that weekend, we had to really fire up, even on the Saturday and the Sunday evening and so on, just to gear up what to do on the following day. And so it's been quite the effort. I have to say, it's because we have strong leadership that we're very fortunate for people who can think on their feet and do the kinds of things that are necessary to keep things going. But we had to scramble a little bit to figure out what to do next, and we're still in that kind of mode, trying to be creative and active. I mean, this is the kind of activity or opportunity where you don't have a choice to just sit still.
Mm-hmm.
You have to do things. You have to think through it, and you have to act.
Well, I think you're being too modest because I admire your calmness and coolness, and also all the educators I've spoken to. They've taken this all in stride. I know probably we're seeing the tip of the iceberg, but how did you adjust to long distance learning, and how did your students? How did that all come together in a matter of days or weeks?
Well, and my calmness, by the way, I'm a former teacher as well, and so I know what it's like to work in a circumstance where you have to be adjusting to changing circumstances all along. And we've been, with the help of our central office administration, our chief superintendent Sean Haggerty, and a central team, and then of course the principals and people in the schools have been adjusting to this reality. So we're moving to online education. I have to really applaud our teachers. And as it happens, I have a son and a daughter, both who are teachers. And so I get firsthand what it means to engage this way. And I have to really applaud the whole community. And this also includes, our support staff and our custodial, a variety of people that have sprung into action. So it's remarkable in some ways that, at some points we're all kind of feeling anxious and upset and hurt. But on the other hand, get down to work and do stuff. And I mean, that's amazing.
So great buy-in by your staff and professionalism exhibited is what I'm hearing. Now tell us about the families and the students. There must be all kinds of stories about how some probably just slid right into this and think this is the greatest thing ever. And there's others who are probably, my goodness, where do I begin? I don't have a computer.
Right. And so you're right. And we're trying to cope with all of those kinds of circumstances. There are, of course, families and circumstances where people are used to this kind of work and being able to work in this way. And there are some who, as you described, who don't have it. But we have contingency plans in place for those homes where, let's say, there isn't a computer. Well, we'll see if we can get them a Chromebook where we have also set up attending to each teacher who are working with their students in their classrooms, and they're reaching out, and classrooms are going, teaching and learning is going ahead, and teachers have been in touch with students, but there's always an element of our parents and our in the community who don't have as easy access. Well, we've set up connect teams to make sure to supporting that teachers for those individual students in any particular class, there is somebody reaching out and finding solutions for some of these issues. So, and we're learning as we go, of course, in a lot of this stuff. But yes, we're moving forward, and kids are learning. Good. It's different. Like, it's hard on parents. There's no doubt about it. And I've heard some of the stories of parents are saying, "Wow, I don't know what to do next." And we say, "Just calm down."
I remember trying to help my son in chemistry in grade 10 when he was in grade 10, and I just we're spending more time me learning than you learning. So I can imagine. I really feel for the parents here. Now, tell us about the students, and particularly those in the transition years, maybe going into junior high, senior high, and the ones that are graduating. I'm sure there's a lot of pressure on them already. They've got to make future plans. Are they going to get their diplomas? Are they going to get support going through the summer? How is that all going to work?
Well, we've got contingency plans for all of that. And yes, and some of the instructions are coming from us, from the Ministry of Education. So kids are going to move from grade to grade. They're going to advance. Their learning will continue, but they'll also be moving on to the next grade. There's no testing, of course. The provincial achievement tests have been canceled. So have the diploma exams been canceled. So we'll have to use teacher-awarded marks for our high school students. And but that doesn't mean they have to stop working and learning, because they're still called to do their work. I mean, what you know as a learner, what knowledge you bear, you're going to take into the community somewhere in a job of work or into a post-secondary education. So you can't, to our students, you can't stop learning. Yeah. Nonetheless, we're going to make sure that kids are successful. We're going to support them in every way possible. Teachers are reaching out to them, and so we have support teams. The core, particularly the core subject teachers, are working very hard. And then we have some non-core teachers who are part of that team who will support those kids. So we're going to make sure, absolutely sure, that every kid that needs it is going to be successful. Some children will have to prod a bit more, and just like a normal life. Yeah. And some others take this on and excel because they're self-motivated. Right. But it doesn't matter what your circumstances. We've got plans in place to support every child.
Okay, well, that's great messaging. What I'm hearing is we got this. That's what Elk Island Catholic Schools is saying. Yeah, it's a difficult time. Yes, a lot have been thrown at us, but we're dedicated to the education of our students, and we are going to stay dedicated, and they're all going to move on.
They are going to move on, and we have the added dimension, of course, of a faith-based education, and we're continuing that kind of work in terms of a prayer life, and in terms of understanding that, this is part, and particularly interestingly here in Holy Week, this is part of our tradition. We do recognize that there's suffering in the world. We do recognize Christ died on the cross, but we also recognize that the resurrection is coming. Right. And so that if you stay faithful, you pray and you work hard, you do what you're supposed to do to be a good human person, the resurrection is also part of our tradition. And so that's the way we've been approaching this. And so far, I'm very pleased as the board chair in the success that we're having.
Yes.
Under these circumstances, it's remarkable, and of course we will continue to learn and adjust and to think about what we need to do next. But we're going to get through this. There's no doubt about it. But stronger than ever. So
very well put. Excellent leadership. Ted, before we sign off, is there anything else you want to send out to your stakeholder group?
Well, I just want to encourage a big thank you, of course, to our central office people, our superintendent, to our leadership in the schools, to the teachers. I mean, they're just picking us up and taking this on. I mean, it's such a huge thank you to all of our custodial, to our support staff. I know there's that layoff picture that's in place, but we're working our way through that. Even our bus drivers, we've had to lay off, but we're looking forward to the day when they're back hauling our precious cargo. So all of that stuff, a message to all of our community, to our parents, to our parish, to all of them. Let's all hang in there together. Let's pray for success. Let's, and particularly some people, of course, are affected in terms of the actual health. And, there's some pretty serious consequences for some beyond the education thing that we're talking about here. But anyway, I wish everybody a blessed Christmas, not Christmas, sorry, that's a long past. This is Easter time.
Yeah.
Blessed Easter, and look forward to the resurrection.
Okay, well, thank you for your great leadership, your calmness, your coolness in the line of fire. Thank you to Elk Island Catholic, to the dedicated teachers, to the parents, our hearts are to you, and to the students, you got to keep working, but you got a great school system behind you. So we'll leave it at that. Remember, Strathcona County, go to strathcona.ca/COVID-19 for the latest on our response. A final shout out to Ted, and everybody have a great Easter weekend. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye-bye
Ted.
for now.